Okay, welcome to the 10,000 subscriber special. I know it is extremely late. If you did not see your question here or you didn't have time to do it, join the Discord. We have memes. That being said, wow, this is really late. As some of you might know, I hit this mark around January, but I was kind of busy with school and other such things, so I kind of waited. And then waited a bit more. And a bit more, and here we are. But I decided to ask you guys if some of you wanted this and enough of you wanted it to where I can make a meaningful video out of it. So here it goes. First off, thank you to all of you. I never thought this would really happen about 5.5, 6 years ago when I started this. So how I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna give you a few general updates about the channel. I try not to have too many just updates for the sake of updates, but I feel like this is warranted. And then we're gonna go into the questions, which I've divided into about 4 categories. Wait, why do I say about? There are exactly 4. That's stupid. Whatever. Let's do those updates. So, just as I expected, I was able to get myself a new job. This time, I did go for something where it's yeah, I can just sort of coast doing this. It's one of those jobs where I'm definitely going to not have any impacts on my study time. It pays a bit less than what I was doing previously, but at the same time, it looks like I've had a serious surge in revenue from various YouTube sources. Again, thank you so much, Patreon supporters. You guys really came through for me here. And other than that, I'm in the summer term taking summer classes because I need to graduate on time, and I've got a whole lot of things for videos. I'm hoping to release this around the time when 2 other videos are previously being released in the same weekend. And I'm thinking that might be how I do my content from now on. I'm still gonna do the once a month format, but it's gonna be like a whole weekend's worth of content. That way, it's all there, you can binge it, it'll be great. Until I realize this is utterly crap or something. But let's move on to the questions. There are 4 categories here: about me, about YouTube and my channel, about gaming, and then other. So we're gonna start with about me first, because why not? Alright, first question. What do you think about your future on YouTube is? Okay, what did you do before you started YouTube? Well, as far as what I did before I started YouTube, I was still in high school. I kind of started doing YouTube my first year of my first community college as something just to do, and I just never had it fizzle out. I just kept doing it, and look where we are now. As far as the future of my YouTube channel goes, I'm cautiously optimistic. It's I went from the year before, in 2016, I had about 4,000 subscribers. By the end of 2017, I was almost at the 10K, and here we are now, halfway through 2018, and I'm almost at 20K, so I seem to have momentum going. There's no reason for me to stop. The money is surprisingly good, despite the fact that it's just so stupid expensive to live in California right now, and I'm trying to get out. So right now, I have every reason to do this. I love doing it. It allows me to be creative. It's a good way to get a bit of side money, and also, Saucy Boy gets to see the world, sorta. A couple people asked some variation of the question, what was your inspiration for making YouTube videos, or why I started YouTube? And I just kind of felt like it, to be honest. I really liked some stuff Total Biscuit was a huge inspiration for me. For a while, I was part of Bro Team Pill, the people that showed up in Fate of, and that heavily influenced my content for a while. And I've just had all sorts of influences for how I make my content, why I make my content, but ultimately it's, I try to make sure that everything I do is specifically me, to the point of where even though sometimes they'll have a similar topic on a video, I will make sure I put an ethical wall around myself, because I want my stuff to be strictly me. And yeah, not much more to say about that one. Alright, third question about me. How long did you live in Laguna Beach? Which I think stems from a few people noticed my comments about the crew in Laguna Beach in particular. I technically never lived in Laguna Beach. I lived in the neighboring town, Aliso Viejo, which is known for its so low crime rate that we don't actually register on a lot of the crime statistics websites. and being next to Laguna Beach. I spent most of my time there. I live closer to Laguna Beach area, but because of zoning laws, I went to Aliso Viejo like schools. And I grew up there. I spent a lot of time in the Boys and Girls Club. That was like a very positive influence on my life. There was a whole computer room in the Boys and Girls Club Teen Center where we basically spent most of our summers just sitting around playing Brood War custom maps, which will lead into another question later on. But again, shout out to the Boys and Girls Club. That is definitely a positive aspect on many, many young adults' lives. Also, have they ran out of things to ban in Laguna Beach yet? I swear that place is becoming a nanny town. Which game made you realize, gotta play them all? Also, what is your guilty pleasure game? So for the second part of that, we're gonna do that in the gaming part of this. And I don't really think I have a gotta play them all aspect for my channel. It's, well, you can tell I am from Southern California with my likes, and dudes, but we're getting sidetracked here. I don't play all games. I'm not gonna go out looking for like terrible Unity asset swap games on Steam early access. I intentionally avoided Hunt Down the Freeman because I have an aversion to punching down. Well, it's very easy to make a case that like you're acting in consumer advocacy because you're making fun of all these terrible games made by obviously crappy people. You can only get away with that so much. Like, I think the only person that pulls that off is Jim Sterling, because his whole thing is more about, okay, let's focus less on the individual games, but how like these are developers you should avoid. I could be talking about my butt for all I know. I don't watch his Squirty plays or the other parody he does that much, but I don't have a gotta play them all aspect. If I really were to describe how I choose stuff to make videos about, it has to be something I feel passionately about and something that I can do a deep dive into. Like, I'm not joking when I say the Command & Conquer video took over 200 hours of research, recording, citing, recording, editing, and everything. I said recording twice, but you get the idea. I'm not gonna play literally everything. What is your favorite color? Purple. What was the first game to make a strong impression on you? Well, that would be the original StarCraft and Brood War. As a kid, I was allowed to play it for a bit until my mom was like, no, this is affecting him too much, and then I wasn't allowed to play it for quite a while. But that, I think, out of all the games I've played in my life, has been the game I have sunk the second most hours into, I think. I still play it today. I very much enjoyed the remaster of StarCraft and Brood War, and I remember when I was still allowed to play it when I was little, like me and the other kids, we would all like out on the yard play StarCraft pretending to be units, and we were the hugest dorks ever, and I got my butt kicked a lot. Do your peers, friends, family, the annoying helicoptering you might be able to hear in the background of this support your channel, and or do you ask them for their thoughts on your content? Well, as for that, I do have a few peers, like creatively, RJ the Shadow, the Yamix, and those are my two go-tos for people that like I directly send my stuff to early, like even earlier than say if I do something on Patreon exclusively, because I trust their opinions. They have very different opinions. They help me hone the quality of my videos, and shout out to them, description below. As for my friends, like I usually tell them, yes, I do YouTube. I never really bother to show them. They're like, that's cool. On the off chance that they find me, it's whatever. But usually when they ask to see it, like if you really want to see it, okay. But I just tell them that I'd rather you organically find me and subscribe to me than give me like a pity sub, because I'm beyond the point of pity subs. That's a waste of time. As for my family, this is a unique one. For a while back, my dad, one of his buddies wanted to start doing a YouTube channel because he's not able to do much right now with his life. I'm not going to get into it, but he's not really in a position to do anything else, and he felt that YouTube was a great outlet. So, of course, I sent my dad a few of my videos to show him, like, this is what I do, this is how I do it. And my dad, one day, we went to a place called Lazy Dog, and he told me he watched my videos, and he really liked them, but he didn't like how negative I was. And I explained to him a few things about how these kind of videos work, and that I've tried making positive videos. I honestly have, and nobody watched them. But that's the most I've had. Like, for the longest time, I never showed my family my YouTube videos for like 5 years. But then about last year, when my dad asked me, I was like, okay, I'll show you a video or two I've made. And he was really proud of how much research and stuff I put into these, which was a pretty fulfilling moment for me. My dad's a pretty cool guy. How's life going? Pretty good, thanks. I got that new job, got a pretty good outlook on life. I did fail my final for criminal law and procedure, but I'm pretty sure with the sheer amount of immaculate project work and extra credit I've done, like, there's pretty much no way I possibly couldn't get an A, so that's neat. And aside from that, I'm just sort of chilling, waiting for summer session to start, really wanting to get back into that education. And yeah, the cat is taking a nap and not attacking me while I record, so that's cool too. Are you fond of dogs? Yes, very much. I like all animals, and I'm really looking forward to the day where we can afford a home large enough to accommodate both my wife, myself, the saucy boy, and a dog. Someday. What kind of music do you primarily listen to? Well, nothing really primarily. I like a bunch of stuff. I like some hip hop, some electronic. I like a lot of video game music, like especially stuff that's been featured in Hotline Miami. So I do like a lot of stuff like Outrun. Occasionally, I don't even know if it's called rock anymore. Just like, especially compared to the stuff put out in the 80s and 90s. I'm not sure what's being put out now that's like following the traditional like guitar, bass, drum, vocal. Really, it's considered rock music anymore, but I'm a game critic, not a music critic, so I'm not the appropriate person to talk to you about this. Will you do a face reveal? Well, I used to have my face on my channel in a few places, but it was never a primary attraction of what I did. And there are other channels where I am in the flesh, but I decided that like I'm not gonna actively like link to those anymore. Just because I feel like the face would ruin the idea. Just imagine me as the most ugly, punchable dude ever while I'm tearing apart your favorite game. And if you figure out what I look like, whatever. Just I feel like that's not a necessary thing. And while I really wish I could have like a cool mascot or something, like I've got this thing, I don't want to fall into the trap I see a lot of YouTubers do, where they go after that I hate everything shtick and they have like a cutesy little animated cartoon guy that like has 4 or 5 different positions, a la a Seth MacFarlane cartoon that narrates over everything. That just feels like it's a way to get out of having matching B footage for whatever you're talking about, and that's cheap, and I do not want to cheapen my content. But no, I'm not actively planning on like showing off my face anytime in the future, and I have since removed a lot of the face stuff on my YouTube just because I feel it detracts. Okay, time for the YouTube stuff. First question, what was your favorite video to make? What is the origin of your profile drawing and name? And I feel there are a few similar questions that also ask me like, what was my least favorite video? So I'll just answer all those. Profile drawing, way back in the day, I used to be primarily a PlanetSide 2 YouTuber, and I did a lot of MS Paint videos about like the day in the life of the squad leader and like related things. And that little guy used to be my avatar for the PlanetSide 2 things. I had the Commissar hat from the Terran Republic, and I was a stick figure guy. I've been thinking about maybe commissioning some art, like getting myself a new sort of avatar based on the whole Charlatan Wonder angle, but that's a chunk of change that I'm not sure I'm ready to spend because I'm still transitioning into this like YouTube and a job sort of living instead of just primarily a job sort of living. Plus, I got tuition to pay soon. Wait, what am I doing? I almost forgot to do the other one. Favorite video to make was, I'd say the Command & Conquer one, just because it, that video kicked my butt. Just all the research I found. Every time I thought I was done with some research, I noticed a thing that pretty much blew the whole video wide open. I originally thought that was going to be a 15 to 20 minute long video, but there was so much interesting information and stuff that I would be kicking myself if I did not include in it. And that just kept on going further and further down the rabbit hole. As far as least favorite video to make, I'm gonna pause the recording and then think about that for 5 minutes and then resume, but you won't notice. I'm gonna have to say the one where I did the ending of BioShock Infinite. Not so much that like there was anything particularly hard or annoying about it, but because I felt like I wasn't really treading any new ground, I wasn't asserting a unique idea. Everyone's beaten up on the ending of BioShock Infinite. In fact, part of the reason why I spent so much time talking about like the stuff before it, like the ending sequences, was because that was something that often got ignored because it's just so easy to punch down on that final ending sequence of BioShock Infinite. Whereas you can also talk about a lot of the massive flaws in game design that happen at the end, where all this crazy stuff boils down to, oh yeah, we're gonna play Horde mode now, and a thing that is very obviously designed to be a video game level. Yeah, that's it. There's no videos like I objectively hated making. There's some videos that I've abandoned because I realized my heart just wasn't in it, but there's nothing I've put out where I just really hate it. What was your first video like? How different would you say it is compared to your recent videos? Well, my first video, I looked back, there was some stuff on my personal Instagram where I found that it was the exact date I started recording stuff was November the 5th, 2012. And I attempted to record a live Let's Play commentary of Frog Fractions with all my friends. And that was disastrous. I ended up scrapping that. My first video I put out was a Let's Play of the DayZ mod, which that has since been obliterated. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to play you about a minute segment of one of my first YouTube videos ever that has since been hidden from my page, and you'll see just how radically different it is from the stuff I made now, and you will probably be screaming, make it stop, so I will put a link to the time where you can skip that atrocity.
What's up everyone, my name is Atlas, and we're going to be playing one of my favorite games today, BioShock. I have played this game so much since it came out that I just got a little too good at it, so we're going to do a little challenge. We're going to make this game harder. I've set aside a special save file that takes me right to after all the cinematics and whatnot, and we're only going to use the wrench and lightning, nothing else. There'll be a few caveats though, like in case I need to go somewhere, say I need to melt some ice or grab some telekinesis, that'll be allowed. However, I will not be allowed to use any of the plasmids to indirectly or directly harm enemies or big daddies or even the final boss. Nothing but wrench and plasmid, nothing but wrench and lightning for dealing with enemies.
Are you a fan of the Devil May Cry series, and if so, will you ever make a video on them? Well, unfortunately not. It's not that I dislike them, it's just I've never gotten around to play them, so I don't really feel it'd be appropriate for me to make a video about those games. And yeah, I hope that answers that question succinctly. What programs do you use for recording and creating my videos? And then it goes into the specifics. I use primarily for recording. I use for video stuff like gameplay. I use Shadowplay a lot because that's a really easy, low space way to get an entire game in storage. I have a 8 terabyte external drive where I just have like archival footage of every game that I play so that I can use it later. And if there's something I specifically want to get that Shadowplay doesn't play nice with, I use OBS. And I used to have Fraps as a backup to my backup, but ever since the Windows 10 Creator update, Fraps no longer really works with Windows. But that covers it for gameplay recording. For audio recording, I use Adobe Audition. I use a lot of the Adobe suite for what I do. I can excuse the price I pay. I have the big boy versions. I have everything legit, and I use Photoshop for thumbnails, Premiere for editing, Audition for vocal recording and editing. Let's see what else. The media encoder is great, but I often if I need to fix something, use Handbrake, which lately it's been a big issue, especially with games that change the frame rate for cutscenes, like say something I may be doing in the future, Deus Ex Mankind Divided. That game is in 60 frames a second and what have you when it's playing, but all the cutscenes are in 30 frames a second, and that freaks out Adobe Audition, especially like if there's any change in resolution at all, especially with older games that upscale. So oftentimes I find myself like running like entire games worth of footage through Handbrake first, just to make sure it's all at a consistent frame rate and file size. And that's about it. I've also got a Blue Yeti microphone I use, a Logitech G whatever keyboard because I don't want clacky mechanical in the background, and I got some screens. Yep. Will there ever be an addition to A Day in the Life of a Squad Leader? There was like 4. Why aren't there more Frisk Saucy Boy videos? And what do you think about the teams making Saints Row coming back to make another Saints Row? Well, for the Saints Row thing, good for them. Hopefully they can do better than Agents of Mayhem. And as for the cat videos, it's just I figured that a lot of people who come for the gaming content get really turned off by the random cat videos, and all of the cat video people get a little weirded out by the gaming thing. And the best of two worlds was that I could just tack the cat videos on to the end for the credits, and also in the interim if there's ever any game footage that just will not cooperate. Example being in the Command & Conquer video, for some reason, even though Red Alert 2 ran the best on my computer out of all the old games, it just would not record on anything, not Shadowplay, not OBS, not Fraps, nothing. So I was like, oh yeah, I've got cat footage. So that's what I do now. It's also a convenient way for me to increase the runtime of the video a bit within reason. I'm never gonna put like 8 minutes of cat video at the end. I feel that's crude. I try to keep it to no more than 2 minutes at the absolute max. But the cat is still here. He's a lot less energetic and mischievous as he used to be because he's a fat boy on a diet now. I don't know how, but he's still putting on weight. We think he's finding a way to steal food. And he's here. He's a wobbly boy. When you first started making YouTube videos, what were your expectations of the community, if you've ever had them, as far as now, as in beliefs, whatever? Really, I had no serious expectations of like the community I wanted to foster, just you guys do you. Like with the Discord, I do have some house rules, just don't come in being overtly bigoted, racist, an overt jerk. I said you can trash talk people, but don't hit below the belt. It's like if you come in here and the first thing, oh hey, the brownies are done. Yeah, I should go get my brownies now. All right, back to the question. It's also a matter of I don't want that stuff on my own like Discord, YouTube, etc., because that looks badly on me. I don't want to be ever known as a guy that hosts that kind of stuff. And I like to think you guys are better than that, and you can find reasons to hate people based on their actions. Just trash talk each other all you want, but keep it above the belt. That's my only real expectation of everyone, is just don't be a dickhead for the wrong reasons. Why did you start making videos? I think I answered this earlier, but I just kind of felt like it. Specs? Okay, let's see. I've got myself an EVGA brand GTX 1080 Ti FDW3. I got the red one because red is the fastest color. Got an Intel i7 4790K. G-Skill Ripjaw brand, 32 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. What else am I missing? Various cooling parts, I think an Asus motherboard, I forget what. I just know that it's the LGA 1150, I believe, chipset, which I've also figured out that if I ever want to upgrade my processor to be a little less lopsided with my GPU, I'm going to have to upgrade everything because I believe the 4790K is the highest I can go on this board. So I'm gonna need a new board. In turn, that means I'm gonna need a new RAM to go with this board. And I'll probably need a new CPU cooler because somehow I have this Corsair liquid cooling loop that everyone says I only last a couple of years, but mine has been going since I first got the original PC I have, like back in 2012. This thing is just a tank. And other than that, I got 250 gigabyte SSD for OS and anything I need to run really fast, like editing software. Terabyte and a half of HDD space for storing Steam games and what have you, stuff I'd play casually. Terabyte external drive for archives of videos. And then I've got an 8 terabyte external drive I mentioned previously, which is for footage storage, because I learned the hard way that if you keep on deleting footage to save space, and you come back and make a video about that raid later, or you don't have the right footage, you're going to be kicking yourself because you're having to put in tens of hours of work just playing through the game, getting the right footage that you previously had in the first place. So I am big on keeping B-roll in storage on my computer. That saved me like, I think, hundreds of hours by now. When will the update be out? Right now. Do you ever intend to review the Fallout series? And if not, what is your opinion on it? Yes, I do. I have done a lot of precursor research to doing a video about the Fallout series before, in particular Fallout games like New Vegas, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, a few of the pre-3D Fallouts, and a lot of it is figuring out like, what is my angle here? How do I really feel about these? And what do I bring to the table with my Fallout video? Like, there are like 3-hour-long Fallout critiques where it's like, okay, people are already beating this to death, so I'm gonna have to find a new spot to leave a bruise or two. That doesn't necessarily mean the video is gonna be all negative, just that I have to make sure that I am doing me and not just trying to chase a trend, because when you chase a trend, no good comes from it. A while ago, you made a video about returning to PlanetSide. It was obviously an April Fool's thing. So my question is, would you return to PlanetSide, and can we expect some videos about it? Why, yes or no? Also, what do I think of the game in its current state? Leadership videos really helped. Okay, sure. I'm glad my videos from back in the day still have some value, thank you. But as far as PlanetSide 2 goes, it's hard to stutter there. But I really don't see myself actively playing PlanetSide 2 again. Every time I've tried to come back, it's been severely disappointing. And one of the videos I scrapped was I had a video that was probably 35-40 minutes long about what happened with PlanetSide 2 with a lot of really interesting things, but I decided, you know what, this is just not the right time for this video. I considered releasing it for the April Fools, but then I copped out and made just a obviously designed to rile up the fanboys video. But that's something where I have most of that video done, but the time is not right. I don't have enough information to really hammer home my points. I don't have like enough hard sources for certain things. And I still wanted to do something PlanetSide related. The other ideas I had for April Fools were like a 15-minute investigational video about how come, like in the StarCraft series, midway through StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm, the Protoss suddenly have nipples, despite the fact that they're not mammalian, nor do they really eat. So what purpose does that serve? Why do Protoss suddenly have mammalian organs? But I really couldn't make that joke last for as long as I wanted it to, so I went with just, okay, let's piss off the bitter vets, that'll be funny. What made you want to do those BioShock Infinite videos you did talking about the game's problems? Is it because no one else really did that and said, oh yeah, this game is great, no flaws at all, 10 out of 10? Well, not specifically. That did sort of start a trend of me finding, like, the way I want to see it is I want to find all the emperors that aren't actually wearing clothes for those kind of videos. But I really wanted to do something about BioShock because I absolutely love that series, no matter what you might think from my videos. And while I do enjoy BioShock Infinite, I definitely notice it to be the odd man out. And I noticed if you look at the games without the names or premise of the games, it's like you could hardly tell that BioShock Infinite was a BioShock game. And I slowly started to notice more major flaws in BioShock Infinite if we were to call it a BioShock game. And eventually that video came to fruition. I think there were actually a few like additional segments that I eventually cut out. But what is in the video is everything I agreed with, and I never expected that to take off like it was going to. I thought it was going to be a thing where like I got a decent amount of views out of the Godzilla video, decent amount out of the XCOM video, and the Battlefront videos. And BioShock was going to be another thing, and then I moved on. But people loved the BioShock video so much, I wanted to say, okay, we're going to do 3. But then people really wanted me to do one about the ending, so that became a 4th one. And now I'm almost done with BioShock 2. So it'll be great to tackle other franchises. I'm really excited for that. I'm not like necessarily sick of the BioShock franchise, just it's nice to shake things up a bit, you know? Okay, on to gaming related stuff. Wow, this video is longer than I intended it to be. Story of my entire channel. Do you have any games that you like but the general public does not? Let me think about that one for a second. Well, immediately off the top of my head, I can think of The Forest, even the very clunky initial early access release. I enjoyed that very much and found ways to have fun with that, especially before they figured out how to create ammunition for the flare gun or reload mechanisms. And also, I very much enjoyed Dark Souls 2. A lot of people think that's the weak one of the series. I had a lot of fun with it. I very much got into my sword and board character. I didn't cheese very much, and I haven't played Dark Souls 3 yet. I really want to play it. I feel like a jerk because the Yamiks got me that for Christmas last year, and I still haven't even touched it. I haven't found the time, and whenever I really have time to play a game to, like, unwind, I end up playing something like Subnautica in order to just have, like, minimal mental stress. Is that even a valid reason for Subnautica? That game gets pretty intense at times. What do you think of the Saints Row series? Well, I only played Saints Row the Third. I think I got that one in a Humble Bundle or something. And I enjoyed it, but I think one of my barriers to really getting into it was I got the Game of the Year Super Special Edition that had all the DLC and stuff unlocked. So I immediately got like a bunch of endgame weapons right at the beginning. But wait, are you supposed to have like the VTOL jet like right at the beginning of the game? I get that it's supposed to be like a cartoonish version of Grand Theft Auto, and I think that's another reason why I wasn't really able to clamp down, was because where Grand Theft Auto, like the bits of seriousness kind of anchor it, like in this otherwise nonsensical world. While Saints Row certainly comes into its own about like, okay, this is just wacky fun times, at the same time, if it never has that anchor, it's just like, okay, I can't really take some of this seriously. So you kind of fall out of love with it and you end up playing Grand Theft Auto. What was your favorite part of the original BioShock? Alright, Fort Frolic. Once you get a couple of the pictures done and you notice that the sub-basement is open in the shopping center, that just messed with me so bad when I first played that game when I was younger. And that was like, it wasn't a jump scare. There are jump scares in the BioShock games, and it's like jump scares where I am of the opinion where you can get away with having jump scares in your game so long as that is not the only kind of scare in your game, and that it's like a well-placed jump scare that makes sense for where it is. I also, another great example of that are a few moments in Prey that do a really good job of just messing with you, because that's what a jump scare is supposed to be. It messes with you. It's not supposed to be like the meat of your horror experience. But yeah, I really like that part. I'd say a close second would be the shotgun scene, where you first get the shotgun in Medical Pavilion. That just felt so cool. What would you want to see out of a new BioShock game? Would you want to return to Rapture or a new location? Do you think it will be an open world or more of a linear path of the previous games? I have a lot of thoughts on what I'd like to see out of like what would theoretically be BioShock 3/BioShock 4, depending on how they count it, because it seems that game development studios cannot count to save their lives these past couple years between the Call of Duty Black Ops Roman numeral debacle, the Battlefield franchise, all that sort of stuff. But I want to keep those ideas to myself, because one of the things that I learned in my education so far is if you try to submit an idea to a company, they will always return the envelope unopened, no broken seals, because if they have any knowledge of your ideas, publicly or otherwise, whether you state them or you send them to a letter like, hey, I think this would be cool, that means if they do anything even remotely like that, you could theoretically run into trouble there. So I'm keeping those ideas to myself because I'd like to see my ideas happen, and I don't want to be saying, oh, you should do this, because at the end of the day, I am more of a critic than I am a developer, so I also have no idea what I'm talking about. As far as open world versus linear goes, I personally feel that unless you kind of did something like Prey or Deus Ex Mankind Divided did, BioShock has no business being an open world game. And I, for one, especially am getting some serious open world fatigue. Like, very few games I find these days are pulling off an open world. I feel like the one exception I can think of in recent years is Subnautica and The Forest again. Because, so many games have these big open worlds, but there's just nothing you actually want to do. So they fill it with like a bunch of collect 'em ups and crap, to where it's like, okay, it feels like half this world was created to tug at my sleeve to tell me, hey, go collect mushrooms or something. And I'm not about that. If I want a big open world, I want it to be something I can explore and something I can really get lost in doing stuff. And a lot of the open worlds lately have not been like that in the slightest. All right, a whole lot of you asked me what my favorite game was. I'm not sure if it comes to a surprise to anyone, but my favorite game is the original BioShock. The original StarCraft and Brood War, close second. And I'd say third place would go to, I'm just gonna say the Deus Ex prequel series. I like them all. Yeah, BioShock, it came out in 2007. That is where I got my original handle Atlas. And yeah, that was the first game that really made me think like, okay, maybe a game can be more than a piece of entertainment. What do you think about Dishonored? Believe it or not, I have never gotten around to playing the Dishonored series. That has been on my list for so long, right up there with Dark Souls 3. Lord knows. I have this huge backlog I need to play, but between school, YouTube, and working again, just, I don't know. Usually when I have time to play junk food games, it's going to be something that's like super relaxing, like a sort of Zen game like Subnautica. Or a lot of the times I like to spend time with my wife, whether we're watching shows or sometimes we'll play a game together, like we played through the BioShock series together. We played through South Park, The Stick of Truth together, had a great time. But when I get my downtime, while I do have this huge backlog of games I want to play, a lot of the time my downtime goes to decompression or spending some quality time with my wife. What's your favorite bad game? I actually sat in front of my desk just trying to think about it for a solid like 10 minutes. Like, what is my actual favorite, like, so bad it's good game? I want it to be like saucy. And so he had Dead Space 3 or something like that. But thinking of a game where you like it because it's so bad that it's good, I'm going to say like every other source mod out there. I had a lot of time playing one called Zombie Master. That was a lot of goofy fun. As far as other goofy fun games go that you aren't necessarily enjoying it for the intended reason, again, The Forest, especially a lot of its earlier development phases, you spent most of the time like abusing exploits to do wacky stuff. Like, I think we tried to, at one point earlier in the development cycle, we took the houseboat and sailed it like inland where we shouldn't have ever taken it, and that was good fun because none of the tribalists can kill us. But I can't think of anything other than that for like games that are so bad it's good, because I usually tend to avoid those because I don't want to pay money for stuff I really don't see myself intentionally enjoying. Take Down Red Saber. I got that for like less than $1. Played that for a couple hours, and that was good fun, just watching how stupid and buggy it was. What game, I'm assuming, would you remake or remaster? Let's see, the last time they tried to do that with BioShock, it was disastrous, especially if you're looking at the remaster collection they initially released. Crap, what would I remake? Let me pause the recording real quick and take another 5 minutes to think about this one. All right, here we go. Assassin's Creed 4, primarily because that is the only Assassin's Creed with any redeeming value. But I think it's a little too early for a remaster on that one. The Free Space series. I would love to see Free Space 1 and 2 remastered, because that is going to be a better Star Citizen than Star Citizen will ever be if it ever comes out. Shots fired. Why do you like Radical Lows so much? Because it lets me be totally 80s and have like neon spandex, and I only feel like I want to die a little while I'm trying to get this game to load. Real talk, I was only able to actually play about 2 hours of that game, all of which I recorded, before I had to shut it off because I was so frustrated with my experience in that game. Which I'm surprised I was able to get it distilled so well. I played about a dozen or so matches, and just that game, at the time I played it when it immediately came out, it had zero redeeming qualities. And I entirely stand by everything I said in that video, and the subsequent closure of Cliffy B's boss keys seems to I guess, would the word be vindicate? Yeah, I think that's the right word. Have you ever played Fallout New Vegas? And if so, what are your thoughts? Well, I have played it. I got it for Christmas when it came out when I was younger, and I'm going to do a video on New Vegas and Fallout 3 and stuff. I'm not going to go the obvious route, but yeah, I'm going to hopefully do a video on the Fallout series sometime in the next year. If you've poked around my channel, you might have noticed that before I got into this whole Charlatan Wonder stuff, I did for a period of time make some pretty handy quest guides for Fallout 4, which thank you Bethesda for having your games and their quests be so confusingly broken that you just need someone to make a guide. And also to all the other YouTubers out there, thank you so much for being idiots and trying to label your crappy Let's Plays as quest guides, because that just means they all clicked away from your videos and went over to my videos, which actually were quest guides. That helped me get like a bump I really needed to break out of PlanetSide 2. So all of my thanks. Okay, time for all the weird stuff and memes that I have grouped together in Other. What is the correct answer to this question? All right, a lot of people in particular have decided to use this already outdated meme at me, to which I answer the correct answer is you must construct additional pylons, then question why you're playing Protoss, uninstall the game, and do some sweet razor scooter tricks or something, I don't know. All right, and then we got a couple people asking why I have not returned their love. Sorry everyone, I am happily married. And also you did not complete the proper sacrificial rituals. Don't bother doing them now, it's already too late. I've been married for almost 2 years now, and I don't plan on changing that. So better luck elsewhere. All right, I may have heavily editorialized this one in order to tie it into a Discord meme, but Glocks or Katanas, Glocks every time. Just nobody wants that Mall Ninja crap. It's all made out of cheap stamp pressed metal. Whereas like when you got yourself a Glock, you have Gaston Glock seal of approval on that bad boy, and you know it's gonna fire. Like you can drop that thing from space, you know it's the proper deal. Like what, you gonna try and like cut bullets with your little toy you got from the mall? I'd like to see it try. H. A number of you have asked me existential questions, to which I can tell you the definitive answer is like, comment, subscribe. Do you dab? I need to tell me lit fams on Snapchat via musical.ly. Thanks to this question, I have canceled all cat videos for the next 4 years, so I hope you're happy with yourself. Alright, and that is all of them. I just looked at the individual files without like adding background clips to give you examples and time in between like with the intro bit, and there was over 35 minutes of questions I had to read and answer as truthfully and as candorously as possible. I don't think that's the correct way to say that. I think you say with candor. And thank you so much again. Feel free to drop by the Discord if you want to talk about anything else. And I will see you hopefully soon. I have a lot of stuff in the pipe and it's only a matter of time. So, I think sign-offs are stupid and I have no idea how to end them.